Yo, your boy Hyperworld back. I recorded a video in like almost a year. Well, in the meantime, I've been working on Twitter threads. Been pretty chill. But I found this video a few weeks ago. I watched the Way Big vs Atomix video. I thought it was pretty good. And I saw this debunk a few days ago, and I can't say the same. I really wanted to make a video on it because I have a lot to talk about in this video. A lot I've had issue with, so I wanted to talk about it. I was originally just gonna keep it to a YouTube comment, but the YouTuber didn't want to respond to it, so I'm making a video. So I did write a lot, I can't lie. Which would be better to put into video format. But yeah, I was gonna say something about it. I forgot what I was gonna say, so we'll just get into the video.
This video obviously has an way big agenda, whereas me, I don't really care. I don't even think Atomix and Way Big are that different in strength.
I just want to say I don't have an agenda either. To be fair, I prefer Atomix over Way Big. I think Atomix is way cooler. I don't really like kaijus all that much, to be honest. But I am on the side that Way Big wins pretty easily. So I've already watched this video. I've already responded to it. And then I'm just gonna rewatch it and break it down for this video.
Maybe, like, you could argue Atomix is slightly stronger, but that's about it. I think they're both at about the same, like, level. However, as you see in this video, him and people in his comments think that Way Big could just, like, one-shot Atomix. Even though he didn't even really one-shot the ultimates that Atomix did kind of one-shot. So...
Well, yeah, but the thing is, Way Big was, like, just slapping them around. He didn't really come off like he was really trying. He didn't pull out any cosmic beams. He didn't try stomping on them or anything. He was just kind of low diffing, I can't lie. Atomix, however, was literally outputting his nuclear energy, throwing nuclear blasts around. Like, it looked like Atomix was trying against them, I can't lie. Like, between the two, the one who looked like he was putting in more effort was Atomix. Not only that, but Atomix was fighting them 1-1. Way Big was fighting 1v5.
That's interesting, at least.
The question of who Ben's second most powerful alien is one that frequently pops up within the fandom. From Ben's vast catalog of transformations, 3 typically emerge as contenders: Clockwork, Atomix, and Way Big.
Yeah, so neither of them is the strongest, or the second strongest, I should say. Feedback is. He has
No.
similar feats, plus a universal one with...
Yeah, the universal feat with him holding the Big Bang. Surprisingly, you need a universal energy source for feedback to reach universal levels, and feedback is basically never getting that energy source. Not only that, but the one universal feat feedback has is contributed by Surge. Or Scourge, with the Celestial Sapien arm, which people believe is an animation error, except it's the other way around. I don't think animation errors have audio cues and animation, like, specifically on the point where the animation error is. Like, I don't think it's an animation error. Like, and honestly, people who say the Alien X arm isn't the Alien X arm being there on Ben in the episode, saying that's an animation error, just haven't watched the episode, or at least haven't watched it in a while. Because if you rewatch the episode, it's pretty blatant that it's supposed to be there.
the Annihilar arc, and he's a direct counter to both of them. So
How is he a counter to both of them? I mean, feedback, you could probably argue he could absorb a cosmic beam, but Way Big's cosmic beams output more energy than anything feedback has absorbed single-handedly. And as for Atomix, there's nothing that says that feedback can absorb nuclear or atomic energy. And even then, Way Big and Atomix can just fight without these abilities. They can just fight with raw strength and raw speed.
even if they tried, feedback would still beat them.
Is superior to that of the moon itself. Jumping ahead, one of Way Big's more impressive feats is reacting to and overpowering the Incursion Conquest Ray in Frogs of War. The weapon is capable of covering solar distances in seconds, traveling from Earth to Pluto and completely annihilating the dwarf planets.
The first part of this video is him listing off feats with calculations, which doesn't really make sense in verse. It's just a way for him to use those feats to make it seem like Way Big is so strong and so much stronger. Like you can tell from the start of the video, he's starting it with a bias.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about here. I don't understand how using calculations means you're biased. I don't see the correlation. Especially, like, you don't need the calculations there. Like, we see Pluto get destroyed, we see Way Big react to the same beam, and we see him overpower it. Like, with that alone, you can come to the conclusion that Way Big is small planet level or planet level. You don't need calculations to figure that out. But yeah, I guess with calcs, you can increase that to large planetary and stuff.
Duplicate of Way Big absolutely pulverizes a planet. The commonly accepted calculation of this feat puts it at the dwarf star level.
He even uses non-canon feats from the game.
It's non-canon to the prime timeline, but it's canon to the overall universe. Paradox has referenced events from the games before, so we know they happen, and they should share the same scaling as well. There's no like crazy outliers that we see in the games that the show isn't in line with the shows.
There's like a clear, definitive, oh, look how strong he is, even though it's not even canon, really. He also uses calcs for Atomix because he knows, due to his lesser amount of appearances and lesser amount of large-scale attacks, that he's not gonna have as many calcs as Way Big, and he's gonna look like weaker by comparison. Again, inverse calculations are pretty dumb. Unless there's no other way to connect the characters between each other, there's no reason to use calculations, as you could just scale characters off each other depending on who they fought. He even knows this.
Some have argued that Ultimate Humongousaur beats Way Big because he could lift Way Big, but Kevin can also lift Alien X, so like, whatever.
Alien X.
That's kind of a non-factor, to be fair, on the original poster's point. Like, Way Big is like, yeah, I don't think you need to think about it to think that, yeah, Way Big is heavier than Alien X. Alien X isn't toppling buildings by falling on them. But Ultimate Humongousaur picking up Way Big, he picked up a Way Big that was smaller than he usually is. Like, if Way Big was consistently sized in Ultimate Sacrifice, Ultimate Humongousaur wouldn't have been able to wrap his arms around him to get a grip to pick him up and then to throw him. Way Big likely would have been interpreted as heavier if he was his actual size. And like, you can tell that he's not consistently sized because Ultimate Humongousaur almost reaches up to his knee, which I feel like if he was consistently sized, he'd probably reach up to his ankle in size, if that.
X is not heavy or responsive in that situation. Way Big got legitimately thrown around.
Like, you can see.
Legitimately thrown around.
Like, if Ultimate Humongousaur was twice his size, he'd be up to Way Big's knee. Like, look at how small Way Big's feet are in that shot. It's just blatantly inconsistently sized. And if Way Big is drawn smaller, he's likely to be considered less heavy as well by the people working on the episode.
Around by Ultimate Humongousaur. Again,
So I don't really count that feat, to be honest. I just see it as an outlier because it's not accurate. His size isn't accurate. His weight likely isn't accurate. Like, the way Ultimate Humongousaur picked him up wouldn't have been possible if Way Big was consistently sized, so I just don't count it as an outlier to me.
Against his will. And if you're gonna use the Way Big feat of him lifting the gate that's as, heavy as the moon, then why not use the Ultimate Humongousaur feat for him being able to lift up and throw down Way Big? It's almost like you're trying to have an agenda or something, I don't know.
Comparatively, Way Big's feat is more impressive, but they're both superior to the Ultimate Aliens, so there's not much else to be said.
Actually, if you look at their feats side by side, Way Big just punches them and they kinda get up, whereas
Yeah, exactly. He just punches them. Like, he doesn't stomp on them. He doesn't cosmic beam them. But Atomix actually like shoots nuclear bombs on them and like punches them with nuclear infused energy.
Atomix goes blow for blow, head to head in an attack, and he quite clearly overpowers Ultimate Humongosaur at full.
And we see Way Big do the same thing, but with normal punches. What we see, you literally showed Ultimate Humongosaur sliding across the floor in with his fight against Way Big, but Ultimate Humongosaur gets back up. But whereas Albedo switches Alien, like he could have gone back up with Ultimate Humongosaur. Maybe he thought maybe it's not worth it. I'm just gonna get beat, so I switch Alien.
Power.
Obviously, Atomix did definitely beat Ultimate Spider Monkey. Like he wasn't getting up from that. But look at the attack that he used to do that. Look what he needed to keep Ultimate Spider Monkey down. Whereas Way Big was just tossing out regular punches and kicks.
And puts him down in 1 or 2 attacks. And it's not to say that Way Big didn't also beat the Ultimates. He did, but to portray as he's more impressive when Atomix had a way.
I mean, yeah, Way Big's scene isn't more impressive, but you also have to take into consideration that he's not going as all out as Atomix is. Like Atomix is like Way Big's going like 33%, Atomix going maybe 66%. It's like saying that Krillin is stronger than Goku because Krillin fought a rip-off Frieza at 100% and won, whereas Goku fought that same Frieza at 11%. We knew he was at 11%, and he took a little bit longer to beat him. I mean, that doesn't mean Krillin's stronger. It just means, you get the point.
Clearer and decisive victory is kinda disingenuous. Let's put it in perspective. Ultimate Humongosaur got punched by Way Big, and then he got up. And then, after a few minutes, he even threw Way Big to the ground.
I mean, well, for Ultimate Spider Monkey to have gone to attack Atomix, he would have had to have gone up from the attack that Ultimate Humongosaur received. Like Albedo still received that attack. He still got up to turn to Ultimate Spider Monkey, or turn to Ultimate Spider Monkey and got up. Like, he still took that attack. It's not like the attack just got negated when he transformed.
If we look at what Ultimate Humongosaur did against Atomix, he went punch for punch in a straight hit for hit, got overpowered immensely, and then he got hit with one attack and he had to detransform and then transform into Ultimate Spider Monkey, who also got clapped very easily.
As this fusion is actively made by the weakest versions of both characters, has none of his cybernetic enhancements, nor...
He does have his cybernetic enhancements, though, to be honest. You can see in his Omniverse design that the cybernetic enhancements are definitely there. That's another point for the original poster. Oh, negative point, I guess.
Or the power that he stole in Ultimate Alien Force, without no way to say that Malgax is superior to...
Third of all, it's funny you mention him defeating Vilgax in combat, and the narrative as well, because right in the Malgax episode, those both go against you. Malgax not only declares themselves stronger than they've been, but after defeating Atomix, they say no alien Ben has would be strong enough to defeat them.
I mean, Alien X and Clockwork. That's because of those two aliens. This statement's kind of a non-factor.
This proves that even though, as you've shown, Vilgax fought...
What about Topic? Pesky Dust?
Way Big, beating Atomix is enough for him to know none of Ben's aliens can beat him. Which shows that after fighting Atomix, Vilgax doesn't think Way Big can actually defeat him. And you might say, wait, hold up, what about Alien X? Doesn't this also imply that Alien X is weaker than Malgax, or is weaker than Atomix? Well, no, actually, because Vilgax nor Malware ever fought Alien X, so this statement wouldn't
I mean, malware's point of view isn't a factor here because malware wasn't conscious while he was as an armor. Like, he was dead. He had no consciousness. And as for Vilgax, he never fought Weybig actually trying or using cosmic beams. Like, he only fought Weybig when he was messing around, like in the scene that you're showing, where he's just like, making Vilgax hit himself, or in the scene OS where he just throws him, just kind of holds him there and throws him. Those are Vilgax's only two encounters with Weybig. He hasn't fought a Weybig going all out. So saying that this statement proves that Atomix is stronger than Weybig is also not a very good point to make.
Apply to them, it would apply to Way Big, however, who fought both of them. Something I've seen in the comments of his video is that Vampire somehow scales to Malgax, but Vampire doesn't beat him. He actually uses feedback, who is stronger than either Way Big or Atomix, to absorb energy from Malgax, and then
he needs to absorb energy to be stronger. Without the energy, he's not stronger. Like, he needs an addition to his abilities to be on par with characters who can just do it with their base stats. I don't really count that as being like top two, to be honest.
defeat him by blowing his shit up. Vampire did not fight on equal grounds with Malgax at all.
Who Ben's second most powerful alien was, DJ Wyatt answered with Atomix. While offer statements can and should be taken as rather clear cuts a lot of the time, in the case of Ben 10, it's more complicated than that.
It's cool if you don't take the DJ Wyatt statement on its own seriously, that's fine. But Duncan also mentions how Atomic
Duncan Willow didn't work on Omniverse and he had no part to play in Atomic, so his statement is not as trustworthy as it could be, especially considering Duncan Willow's other power scaling statements, like being able to create a quasar, which I will talk about later in this video, I already remember. And what else is there? I don't know, Duncan Willow's made some crazy power scaling statements that a lot of people agree with, just because it's a writer's statement and they don't really think about it further than that, or just common misconceptions. But a lot of his statements are kind of nonsensical, at least to me. And I've made a bunch of Twitter threads discussing certain points that people make against to prove certain characters to be super powerful, and a lot of the time Duncan Willow is making that worse, like fueling people's views on certain characters like Atomix, Gravitac, and yeah, I don't take Duncan's words seriously when it comes to power scaling. I also don't consider Duncan's statements unless they're for the reboot.
could create a whole star if he wanted to, which would put at the very least on a similar level with Way Big, if not way stronger.
Additionally, they're considered Way Big Ben's sixth strongest alien, while Matt Wade, prior to Atomix's introduction, thought Way Big was Ben's second strongest alien. Both these statements can't be true simultaneously because Matt's statement was during Omniverse as well, and not enough aliens had been introduced to make Way Big fall back by 4 whole spots.
As you mentioned in your own video, the Matt Wayne statement is before Atomix is even introduced, and if anything, DJ Wyatt's statement about Way Big being his sixth strongest alien makes way more sense. Think about it. You have character.
I also want to say that I don't really, when it comes to statements from the writers saying this character is like second strongest, third strongest, if the story, the show itself has better showcase of power for another alien, then I'm not gonna take it too seriously. Like, it's like saying Forearms is the strongest alien when Atomix exists, or Way Big exists, because a right statement said so, even though Way Big's best feats are nowhere near that of Way Big's or Atomix's. Like, Way Big's just throwing people through buildings, throwing skyscrapers and such. And then a single riot statement comes along and says Forearms is stronger. I am not going to trust that.
like Alien X, you have characters like Gravitack, which can create a black hole.
Yep, there it is. Yeah. He only did that because of the Time Beast. It stayed in the episode that the tug of war between Gravitack and the Time Beast powers created the black hole. So, without one or the other, you can't say that he did create a black hole. Except for Duncan Val's statement, which says he can create a quasar. Except that is crazy. That's actually crazy. Just in comparison to what we've seen of Gravitack, like where his usual range of, like how much G's he can control, it's like 40 or a little above that. Like what we've consistently shown. To create a black hole, you need millions of G's. To create a quasar, I don't even know. It's just absolutely insane. The statements that Duncan has made.
Characters like Clockwork, which can reverse, stop, or erase time.
Clockwork never did any of these things. He did them to certain people and certain objects, like he froze Mad Ben in time, or he reversed the chronosapient time bomb, but he never did these things to time itself. He never stopped time, he never reversed time, he never erased time. Like he ages things to dust, but he never, like, I don't know, erased time. The most he's done to time is slow it down to where it's like, from other people's perspectives, Clockwork is using super speed, but he never did any of these things that you're saying he did.
We even see him kill Way Big on screen.
That was Eon, but I'll give it to you because the time rate is a time rate. Clockwork can do that as well.
Feedback, who can hold a Big Bang, and
Celestial Sapien Arm.
You can pick your poison from another one, but keep in mind that Pesky Dusk can probably mind control him or something, or there's a plethora of aliens that you could argue could beat Way Big in a fight, like Big Chill or something. How would he even touch Big Chill? I don't know, but Big Chill could probably froze him. I'm not saying Big Chill is necessarily stronger, but you can see how being the 6th strongest alien of Ben is closer than being the 2nd strongest.
I like how he argues the guy he's debunking is biased towards Way Big, well, whereas this guy is biased towards Atomix because he lists all these characters that can beat Way Big, but these characters can beat Atomix as well. And you're arguing Way Big should be 6th because of all these characters that can beat him. Then what makes Atomix? Because Pesky Dust can put Atomix to sleep. Big Chill can likely freeze Atomix more effectively than he can freeze Way Big, considering the size of Way Big. There's feedback. You said a feedback can counter both these aliens before, so like to be fair, you said feedback scales above both of them, so it's whatever. And Gravitack, why can Gravitack not control Atomix if you can do the same to Way Big? What about Clockwork? Clockwork should be able to be just as effective on Atomix as he is to Way Big.
Also, the Matt Wayne 2nd strongest quote-unquote statement also contradicts your own narrative, because he says maybe Way Big, he doesn't even know, he's not sure, but also in the statement itself he says how Topic would be able to scare him and therefore probably defeat him. So even in
And yeah, he could probably do the same to Atomix though.
this statement, Topic is a contender for Way Big. If you want to talk about
And
statements not being reliable, well, this being the same ray that destroyed Pluto comes from Duncan confirming it.
No, it actually came from the show Benton Alien Force. And then Way Big Open the Rain came from Benton Omniverse. Duncan didn't contribute to that feat at all. Like he didn't need to tell us that Way Big was scaled to the ray. We saw him overpower it.
It's not actually stated in the show, and it's Way
It's shown in the show.
Big's best canon feat.
Way Big would beat Atomix lightly in the same way he beat Ultimate Echo Echo and Ultimate Alien, as Atomix's best scaling is merely Atomix is just not close. Way Big would win with honestly minimal to mid difficulty, solidifying his place as Ben's 2nd or 3rd strongest alien.
Way Big being able to defeat Atomix the same way he beat the Ultimates when he couldn't.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. Like, I don't think Way Big is going to beat Atomix with just punches and kicks. I think he's going to need a cosmic beam.
Even beat the Ultimates the same way Atomix beat them is way too weird for me. It's like a very strange argument. Like, okay, Atomix beat Ultimate Humongosaur way worse, but somehow Way Big beats him to the same extent that he beat Ultimate Humongosaur. How does that make any sense? Even then, how's your argument that he can beat him to the same extent he beats the Ultimates when they both beat them relatively similarly? What kind of scaling is that?
As Clockwork still exists. Way Big versus Clockwork is a different discussion altogether, one which I think is actually pretty close.
Not really. I mean, abilities-wise, Clockwork could win, but if you're looking at feats, considering Way Big reacted to and overpowered the Incursion Ray, Way Big has the faster reaction speed, the faster combat speed. He should be able to just one-shot Clockwork, and considering Clockwork's durability, it should be pretty easy. As for, it feels weird. I don't know if I'd consider Way Big the second strongest. Clockwork has the better abilities, but Way Big has the better feats, the better speed and stuff. People bring up Clockwork's multiverse feat with the Chronosapien Time Bomb, even though it's not really a multiversal feat, considering it's destroyed timelines, which is a layer of the universe, not its own, not multiple universes. People think timelines and universe are the same thing. I don't agree. And also, Clockwork was able to rewind the Chronosapien Time Bomb because it was a time-related explosion, not because it was an explosion in general. Like, if even a Nylog got set off, Clockwork isn't rewinding it. Like, we see, I don't know. The Clockwork can't, based on what we know, Clockwork can't rewind a Nylog. But he can rewind a Chronosapien Time Bomb because it's time-related.
Reference the title of this video, Way Big versus Clockwork, is not even close. Clockwork wins with no contest. Also, I want to point out that when Ben 10K does his strongest fusion, his strongest transformation that he has, he doesn't transform into a combination of Alien X and Way Big. He transforms into a combination of Alien X and Atomix.
Probably because a Way Big X would be too big.
How is that for narrative implications? And we know that Way Big fusions are not even that big. Look at like the one with Upchuck. He's big.
Ah, yes. Way Big fusing with one of Ben's smallest aliens. Alien X is a lot bigger than Upchuck is. Like, Alien X is bigger than a regular person, and Upchuck is a lot smaller than a regular person. Like, Big Chuck is going to be a lot smaller than a Way Big X is going to be. I will give it to you that Atomix has more versatility with what he can do. He has punches, kicks, he has atomic energy, his nuclear energy he can create. He can do a bunch of different stuff with his energy. Whereas Way Big, he has cosmic beams, and that's literally it.
But he's not that big, so it's not like the size was a problem. It's just Ben 10K views Atomix as his second strongest alien, which I don't even necessarily agree with. But if we're talking about narratives, like I said, unlike this person, I don't have any agendas. I think it's fair to believe that either of them could beat the other depending on the day. At the end of the day, they're not Ben's second strongest aliens. Maybe physically you could argue that they're the second strongest aliens. And in that case, I would go Alien X, Atomix, and then right below Way Big. Very, very close. But Atomix may be slightly stronger. But that's me. And if you think Way Big wins, that's also cool. But the agenda in this video is crazy because he thinks Way Big absolutely like one-shots him. And that's just obviously biased.
I mean, he could. We don't really have any durability feats for Atomix, but I would come to the assumption that a blast that can take out a planet could probably take out Atomix. But if we say that we don't know Atomix's durability, then I guess Clockwork doesn't kill him. I guess Alien X doesn't kill him. Like, I don't know. I assume that Way Big could one-shot Atomix as well. Like, if he used a cosmic beam, he went all out. But if it's just punches and kicks, I don't think that's going to do the job.
Biased. I'm sorry. He couldn't even one-shot the ultimates that Atomix one-shotted.
So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I don't have anything that's cracked in. This is the only video I've seen of his. I don't know if he does any more bent and power scaling videos. Maybe I'll check them out. I don't know. I don't know if I'd bothered making any more videos. But that's about it. Bye.